Hey there, I'm Sheila, and I guess you could say I'm living the suburban dream. I've been married to my amazing husband, Chris, for 4 years now, and it's been quite an adventure. We met in college, both studying business, and there was just something about his smile and easygoing personality that drew me in. From the beginning, we were inseparable, staying up late to study, laughing at inside jokes, and planning our future together. Fast forward a few years and we got married, promising to stick by each other through thick and thin. The whole for better or worse thing seemed easy at the time, but little did I know our journey was about to take a challenging turn, thanks to my mother-in-law. Chris and his mom Martha have always been super close, which sometimes felt a bit much to me. Martha raised him almost entirely on her own after her divorce, and it seemed like she was determined to keep him under her wing, even after he moved out. I heard stories about how she used to match outfits with him and always stayed close while he played with his friends. Martha had this habit of planning Chris' life down to the minute, almost like she was the one in charge. Even when he went off to college, her clinginess didn't stop. She'd call him several times a day to check on his schedule and even visited him twice a week. This really affected Chris. He's a great guy, but you could tell he felt the pressure of meeting her expectations. When Chris introduced me to Martha for the first time at dinner, I could feel her sizing me up, analyzing every detail. "Sheila, it's so lovely to finally meet you. Chris talks about you all the time," she said. "Thank you, Martha, it's great to meet you too," I replied. "Oh, I'm sure it is. Chris has a way of surprising us with his choices," she added, with a hint of something I couldn't quite place. Then she asked what I do for a living, and when I told her I work in marketing, she wasn't all that interested. Instead, she started talking about Chris' ex-girlfriends, like Lily, an artsy girl who was always lost in her own world, and another girl who was a musical talent, but too free-spirited for Martha's taste. "Mom, you're embarrassing me," Chris said, trying to change the subject. "No matter who comes into Chris' life, I'll always be the first woman he loves," Martha said with a smile. From the start, it felt like everything I said or did was being compared to what Martha thought was best. If I mentioned a movie I liked, she'd say Chris didn't enjoy that genre. If I talked about a place I wanted to visit, she'd point out that Chris had already been there with her. It felt like she was trying to prove she knew Chris better than anyone, and I was just trying to keep up. Things got even crazier when Martha's kitchen caught fire, turning her house into a mess. She needed a place to stay while it was being fixed, so of course she moved in with us. And the day she arrived, she handed me a 14-page rulebook. Yes, you heard that right, a rulebook. "I'm really sorry about the fire at your place. That must have been tough. You're welcome to stay here as long as you need. Let me grab those bags for you." "Martha." "Thanks, Sheila. The fire was a nightmare and really shook things up. But before we all get settled, there's something I want to give you." "Sheila." "Oh, all right. What is it?" "Martha. It's my little creation, a guide to keeping peace around the house." "Sheila, a guide? Okay, that's interesting." "Martha, you got it. It's just my way of keeping things on track while I'm staying here." "Sheila, what's with all these rules? We don't need a rule book to function as adults, do we?" "Martha. Oh, Sheila, I get it. But having a few ground rules can prevent unnecessary drama, you know? And breaking them might have some consequences." "Sheila, consequences? Are we running a boot camp here?" "Martha, stop complaining. Now let's tackle those bags, and I'm curious to see where you've set me up." After I showed Martha her room and returned to mine, I couldn't resist flipping through her rule book. Each page was filled with bizarre instructions like vacuuming the living room precisely at 8:30 a.m., serving dinner at 6:45 p.m., and my personal favorite, washing the bathroom tiles with lemon-scented cleaner every other day. I was shocked. What kind of controlling behavior was this? When Chris got back from work, I showed him the rulebook. Before bed, we both started laughing at how ridiculous it was. It felt like we'd stepped into another world where everything was super organized. "Chris. Okay, this one takes the cake. Arrange the spice jars in alphabetical order. I guess our spices are getting a degree in linguistics." "Sheila. And don't forget Gourmet Tuesdays, where I apparently have to whip up a 5-course meal from scratch. That's one way to turn our kitchen into a Michelin star restaurant." "Chris. You know, honey, my mom means well, but she needs to realize that I'm grown up now. This is our house, not hers. We have our own way of doing things. Sheila, you're right. So promise me you won't take this rule book too seriously. It's just her way of showing she cares, even if it's a bit eccentric. Chris, deal. No alphabetized spices or gourmet extravaganzas in our future, I promise. The next morning, I woke up to find Chris already dressed and ready for work. He kissed me goodbye, and I noticed Martha's rulebook still sitting on my bedside table. It was around 8 a.m., and according to the book, I was supposed to vacuum the living room by 8:30 am. Yeah, right. I took a shower, got dressed, grabbed a granola bar, and left for work before Martha could catch me. When I walked in after a tough day at the office, hoping to relax on the couch, I was met with chaos. Chris and Martha were in the middle of a heated argument in the living room. Martha was clearly upset. Martha, Chris, I'm really struggling to understand why Sheila can't seem to respect the rules I've set in this house. Did you notice she just left for work this morning without doing any of the chores? Chris, Mom, we've talked about this. The house is turning into chaos, and it's all about maintaining order, right? But I've grown out of those rules. Martha, rules are how I raised you, and they're still important. You think you know him better, Sheila? Because I distinctly remember him asking for pancakes every Sunday morning when he was a kid. Sheila, Martha, seriously? Who do you think you are? This is our house. Martha, this is my son's house, and it belongs to me as much as it belongs to you. Sheila, excuse me, Chris? Chris, Mom, I need to come clean. This is Sheila's house. She owns it. Martha, what? How is that possible? Sheila, Martha. When Chris and I got married, my parents gifted me this house as a first anniversary present. It's under my name. Martha, Chris, you never told me that. Chris, I didn't want to complicate things, Mom. I let you believe the house was mine, and I'm really sorry, Mom. After Chris stormed off dramatically, I was left standing there, completely dumbfounded by what he'd just revealed. My mind was racing, trying to understand why he'd lie about something as big as our house. Chris had never lied to me before. He'd always been the sweetest, most genuine guy. I took a deep breath and headed to our bedroom, gently pushing the door open. There he was, Chris, looking like he was drowning in guilt. Sheila, hey, can we talk? Chris, yeah, I guess we should. Look, I'm not mad or anything. I just can't wrap my head around why you'd lie about the house, of all things. We've always been open and honest with each other. Chris, I know, honey. That's what's been eating me up. I should have just told you the truth from the start. Sheila, okay, so what's the deal? Chris, it's my mom. She's always been on my case. Ever since I was a kid, she's had these expectations about who I should be and what I should achieve. It's like she wanted this perfect version of me. Sheila, and you thought lying about the house would, what? Impress her? Chris, no, not impress, more like avoid disappointing her. She's always been proud of being in control of things. I thought if she found out that you're the one who actually owns the house, it would shake things up. She'd be disappointed in me for not being the son she wants me to be. Sheila, Chris, you're your own person. You've always been kind, hardworking, and true to yourself. You're the man I fell in love with. Why did she get to define your worth? Hearing Chris's backstory with his toxic mother really hit me hard. Growing up with that kind of negativity had made him feel like he had to lie to his own mom. The whole situation was so unfair. Chris, the most laid-back and caring guy I knew, was carrying around this heavy baggage from his messed-up family. He deserved better. A childhood that didn't leave him feeling like he had to lie or prove himself. What really got to me was how toxic Martha could be. It made sense why she had no friends and had nowhere to go when her kitchen burned down. I was angry that she had this hold over Chris, making him feel like he had to lie to keep the peace. Her toxic presence was poisoning everything in our lives. The next day was seriously weird. I was getting ready for work, fully prepared for Martha to come at me with her usual chore checklist or some sarcastic comment. But to my surprise, she was completely silent. I left for work feeling a mix of relief and suspicion, wondering if this was the calm before the storm. When I came home after a long day, hoping to relax, I walked into a complete mess. The furniture was moved around, and the vases and plant pots from my beloved indoor garden were nowhere to be seen. Sheila, Martha, what have you done? Martha. Oh, Sheila, I just thought the room needed a bit of a change. Sheila, change? Martha, this is our home. You can't just come in and rearrange everything without even asking. Martha. Well, I thought it would be better this way. And those plants were taking up too much space. Sheila. You know what, Martha? I'm just tired. Tired of your constant need to control everything. I invited you into my home, gave you a space here, and what do? You find new ways to make my life miserable. Martha. Oh please, Sheila, spare me the drama. You're overreacting. They were just plants. When I stepped into my bedroom, I was shocked. My bed was against a new wall. The photo frames on the dresser were cramped, and my desk was in a spot that made no sense. I couldn't believe Martha thought she had the right to rearrange everything. I stormed into Martha's room, my frustration reaching a boiling point. Enough was enough. Sheila, Martha, seriously, what were you thinking? You had no right to go into my bedroom and rearrange things without asking. Martha, you're blowing this way out of proportion. Sheila. Martha, we need to talk. I've been trying to stay calm, but I can't hold back anymore. You've been treating me like some sort of intruder in my own home, and it's not okay. I get that you have your rules and your idea of how things should be, but being a mom doesn't give you a free pass to mess with our lives. Martha. Whoa, where's all this coming from? Sheila. It's been building up for months. Your critiques, your eye rolls, you act like you're the guru of life, especially when it comes to Chris. But guess what? Your way isn't the only way. Believe it or not, I've been guiding him too since his dad left, and I give you props for that. But that doesn't mean you're the boss of our lives. I've seen how your need for control is stressing Chris out. He's walking around like he's carrying a ton of bricks on his shoulders, worried that he's not living up to your expectations. I'm starting to see things clearly now. I notice when Chris hesitates to speak his mind around you, and I hear it when he tries to keep you happy no matter what. Chris is a grown man, and I'm not letting you control him anymore. You've just brought trouble on yourself, Sheila, by questioning me as a parent. You'll see soon. After that showdown with Martha, I was emotionally drained and completely exhausted. I told Chris everything that happened later that night, and I found comfort in his arms. He was like my shield against the emotional storm. He apologized to me and told me that his mom wasn't going to stay with us permanently and that she would be gone soon. Chris' "she'll be gone soon" comment started to make sense, so I didn't let it bother me much. But the next morning, while I was getting ready for work, Martha came up to me out of nowhere and apologized. She said she tried to relax and not interfere. Surprisingly, she stuck to it. Things were going pretty smoothly for a while. Martha seemed determined to be helpful, pitching in with chores and being all nice and cooperative. She even made dinner for Chris and me, and we actually sat down like a normal family to eat. It felt weird, but honestly, it was kind of nice. For a moment, Chris and I started thinking maybe she was turning a corner. But then, in about a week, everything took an unexpected turn. I came home one day after work, and Martha greeted me, asked how my day was, and handed me some homemade protein bars. It seemed like a nice gesture, so I took one and had a bite. I ended up eating the whole thing, but soon after I felt a weird lump in my throat, and my skin broke out in rashes. Panic set in. Did Martha put peanuts in these? I called out for her. You know I'm allergic to peanuts. What did you put in those bars, Martha? Oh my gosh, Sheila, I forgot about your allergy. I didn't mean to, I swear. Seriously, Martha. I could die. I rushed to my room to get my EpiPen, and Martha followed me. Where did I put that EpiPen? I need it now. Looking for something, Sheila? My EpiPen. You rearranged this room. Where did you put it? This isn't a game, Martha. My EpiPen is a matter of life and death. Well, we'll just have to find it, won't we? I could feel my body shutting down, like I was running on empty. My vision got blurry, and a sense of doom settled in. I knew things were seriously messed up. As I was trying not to black out, I heard Chris's voice cutting through the haze. He was on the phone, talking like his life depended on it. An ambulance arrived and the paramedics quickly got to work stabilizing me. The ride to the hospital was a blur, with sirens and beeping sounds all around. It felt like I was drifting in and out of a strange dream until I finally closed my eyes. When I woke up in the hospital, Chris was there, looking worn out but relieved. I was done with Martha's manipulation, her toxicity, and her complete disregard for anyone's well-being except her own. As soon as I was discharged, I had a serious heart-to-heart with Chris. He knew it was time to take a stand too. He had seen firsthand the damage his mother's actions could cause, and he was ready to set things right. A couple of days after I was discharged from the hospital, Chris and I went home. "Mom, we need to talk." "I don't know what Sheila told you, but it was all a mistake. Cut it out. You know what, Mom? I used to think I had a mother, someone who cared, someone who wanted the best for her family. But I was dead wrong. I didn't realize I had a monster for a mom, someone who's willing to manipulate just to satisfy her own twisted need for control." "Chris, no honey. I need to get this out, Mom. You've torn this family apart with your toxic behavior. You've taken every opportunity to belittle and demean Sheila, someone who's done nothing but support and care for all of us. And what did she get in return? Neglect and her allergies triggered because you forgot? It's sickening. You nearly killed Sheila. Let that sink in. You almost killed your son's wife. Didn't you even think about me once? Chris, please, I never meant for things to go this far. I know I've made mistakes, and I'm so sorry for what happened to Sheila." "Mom, listen carefully. You have two choices. You can leave on your own terms, or I'll make sure you're out of here. You can stay in a motel or wherever you want, but you're not staying here. This is where it ends, Mom. Our relationship, whatever was left of it, ends right here. I don't have a mother anymore, not in the way that matters." Honestly, I couldn't help but feel a twisted sense of satisfaction when Chris showed his mom the door. She loved him so much that it must have hurt like crazy to be rejected by her own son. But she deserved it after the protein bar situation. We've lost touch with Martha completely. No calls, no texts, no sign of where she went. It's like she vanished into thin air. And as much as I hope she would grow and find her way, I can't help but wonder where she ended up. Despite all the drama, she's still Chris's mom, and that worry for her is still there. Chris ran into a couple of construction guys working on her house, and they told him she drops by sometimes to check on things, so I guess she's okay. Our home is no longer a battleground, and who knows if we'll ever get in touch with her again. For now, we're just trying to live in the moment.